My name is Cassandra, but everyone calls me Cassie. I am 32 years old, and our family barbecue has been a tradition for 15 years straight. I was so excited, packed my bags, bought gifts for everyone. Then Dad called. Gerald said they needed to cancel because of money troubles. I was disappointed but understood. That night, scrolling through Instagram, I froze. My sister Hazel was live streaming our family barbecue. Everyone was there. Everyone except me. Before I continue, let me know where you are watching from and hit that like and subscribe button. This story about family betrayal might just make you feel less alone in your own struggles. Family is supposed to be your safe haven, the people who have your back no matter what. That was what I always believed about my family of 5. There was my father Gerald, a retired postal worker with a perpetual complaint about money. My mother Eleanor, a kindergarten teacher who was sweet but always sided with my father. My older brother Brian, the golden child who could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. My younger sister Hazel, who at 27 still acted like she was 16 and the world revolved around her. And then there was me, Cassandra Turner, always the responsible one, the fixer, the one everyone called when they needed something. Our family dynamics were complicated, as most families are. I had always been the dependable daughter, the one who moved away to pursue her career but never forgot where she came from. Over the past year alone, I had sent home about $18,000 to help with various family emergencies. Dad needed dental work that insurance would not cover. Mom needed a new car after her old one broke down beyond repair. Brian needed help with rent after he lost his job. Hazel needed money to fix her credit card debt. I never complained, never asked for anything in return. They were my family, and that is what family does, right? Brian, 3 years my senior, had always been the favorite. He played football in high school, was handsome and charming, but never quite managed to hold down a steady job. Still, my parents made excuses for him. When he borrowed money and never repaid it, it was because he was going through a tough time. When he missed family events, it was because he was busy with important things. The rules were different for Brian. Hazel was the baby of the family, spoiled and self-centered. She changed career paths every year or so, jumping from fashion design to interior decorating to social media influencing. Whatever she wanted, my parents bent over backwards to provide. And when they could not, guess who got the phone call? Me. Hazel had a special talent for making her problems seem like emergencies that only I could solve. Just last Christmas, she called me crying about how she could not afford gifts for everyone. So I sent her $800. Later, I discovered she used half of it to buy herself a designer purse. Dad, despite his constant complaints about financial struggles, somehow always found money for his golf membership and fishing trips with his buddies. Mom simply went along with whatever Dad said, nodding and agreeing that times were tough, even as she showed off new jewelry or kitchen appliances on our video calls. The annual family barbecue had started as a simple 4th of July celebration when I was in high school. Over the years, it had evolved into a major event that included extended family, neighbors, and friends. It was always held in my parents' backyard in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, while I now lived in Chicago, a 4-hour drive away. Every year, I drove those 4 hours with my car packed full of food, drinks, and decorations. I usually spent around $500 on supplies, not counting the gifts I brought for everyone. Last year, I had brought a new grill as a gift for my dad after he had complained about his old one for months. I had brought my mom a set of gardening tools she had been eyeing. Brian got a new fishing rod, and Hazel received the expensive perfume she had been dropping hints about for weeks. I never expected gifts in return, but it would have been nice to receive more than the $20 scented candle they all pitched in to buy me. Despite the imbalance, those BBQs held special memories. The smell of burgers on the grill, the sound of laughter as we played yard games, the warmth of the summer sun on my face as I watched fireworks with my family. It was worth every penny and every minute of the 4-hour drive just to be together. But looking back, there were signs of fractures in our family bond that I chose to ignore. Like the time Hazel posted photos of her birthday celebration that everyone attended, but I was never told about. Or when Brian called to borrow money the same day he posted pictures of his new gaming system on Facebook. Or how my parents always seemed to have their phone on speaker when I called, as if making sure everyone could hear what I was saying. But when I visited in person, conversations often stopped abruptly when I entered a room. I brushed these incidents aside, made excuses for them in my head. Everyone gets busy. Maybe they thought I would not be interested. Perhaps they forgot to mention it. I was always the one giving the benefit of the doubt, always the one understanding their perspective. This year was supposed to be special. I had just received a promotion at the marketing firm where I had been working for 7 years. I was now senior marketing director with a substantial raise and bonus. I was excited to share my success with my family, maybe even treat them to something extra special to celebrate. Little did I know how they really felt about my success. My promotion came after years of 60-hour work weeks, countless presentations, and proving myself over and over again. The marketing industry is competitive, especially for women, but I had finally made it to a senior position. My new salary was nearly double what I had been making before. And the thought of being able to help my family even more filled me with joy. My colleague and close friend Amy was the first person I told about my promotion. We were having lunch in the break room when I got the email from the company president. "I got it, Amy. Senior marketing director," I had exclaimed, nearly spilling my salad. "Cassie, that is amazing." She had hugged me tightly. "We have to celebrate." "I will, but first I want to tell my family. The annual barbecue is coming up in 2 weeks. I am going to surprise them with the news." Amy had given me a strange look then, one I did not fully understand at the time. You know, most people would expect their family to celebrate them, not the other way around. She had said carefully. "That is just how we are," I had replied defensively. "They will be happy for me." I requested 3 days off work, even though it was a busy time for our team. My boss Frank was understanding, especially given my recent promotion. "You deserve some family time, Cassie," he had said. "Just make sure you are back for the Johnson presentation." I promised I would be and began my preparations with enthusiasm. The barbecue was scheduled for the upcoming Saturday, which meant I would drive to Cedar Rapids on Friday and return on Sunday. I made a detailed shopping list, dividing it between items I would buy in Chicago and take with me, and things I would purchase once I reached Cedar Rapids. For gifts, I wanted to go all out this year. For Dad, I bought a high-end fishing sonar device he had mentioned wanting. It cost $700, but I knew it would make him happy. For Mom, I found a beautiful sapphire necklace that matched her eyes, priced at $450. Brian was getting the latest gaming console he had been talking about, and for Hazel, I purchased a $300 gift card to her favorite clothing boutique. I also bought specialty food items that could not be found in Cedar Rapids. Gourmet sausages from a famous Chicago butcher, specialty cheeses, and a selection of craft beers from local breweries. I even ordered a custom cake from my favorite bakery with "Congratulations, Cassie" written on it for my promotion announcement. The week before the barbecue, I got my hair done at an expensive salon, splurging on highlights that cost $200. I had a manicure and pedicure. I bought a new sundress that was both casual enough for a backyard barbecue, but nice enough to feel special. I was treating myself because this was going to be a memorable weekend. I booked my time off work, arranged for my neighbor to water my plants and feed my cat Mittens, and even pre-wrote some work emails to send while I was away. Everything was set. I had packed my car with the gifts and non-perishable food items on Thursday night, ready to set off first thing Friday morning. Then, on Wednesday evening, 2 days before I was set to leave, my phone rang. It was my father. "Hey, Dad," I answered cheerfully. "I was just about to call you to confirm what time I should arrive on Friday." There was a pause on the line, then a heavy sigh. "About that, Cassandra," he began, using my full name, which was always a bad sign. We are going to have to cancel the barbecue this year. My heart sank. Cancel? Why? Is everyone okay? Everyone is fine, he assured me quickly. It is just, well, money is tight right now. The lawnmower broke, and the deck needs repairs before we can have people over. We just cannot afford to host the barbecue this year. Dad. That is not a problem, I said immediately. I was planning to bring most of the food anyway, and I can help with the repair costs. How much do you need for the deck? Another pause. It is not just that, Cassie. Your mother and I have been going over our bills, and we are really struggling this month. The property taxes went up, and your mother had some medical expenses. I can help with those too, I offered. I just got a promotion, and I would be happy to. No, he cut me off. We cannot keep taking your money. Besides, everyone is busy anyway. Brian has a work thing, and Hazel has some social media event. It is better if we just postpone until later in the summer. I felt a lump forming in my throat, but swallowed it back. Are you sure? I have already taken time off work. I could still come visit, even if we do not do the big barbecue. That is sweet of you, honey, but your mother is stressed about the house being a mess. You know how she gets. Maybe next month would be better. Or we could just wait until Labor Day and do something then. I tried to hide the disappointment in my voice. Sure, Dad. I understand. Is there anything I can do to help from here? He hesitated before answering. Well, if you really want to help, we could use about $800 for the deck repairs. But only if you can spare it. No pressure. Of course, I said automatically. I will transfer it right away. You are a good daughter, Cassie. The best. Love you. After hanging up, I sat on my couch, surrounded by the shopping bags full of gifts and specialty foods. I felt deflated. All my excitement and preparations now seemed pointless. I transferred the $800 to my father's account immediately, adding a message. Hope this helps with the repairs. Love you all. I then called the hair salon to cancel my appointment for final styling touch-ups the next day. I unpacked the car and put the perishable items in my refrigerator. I thought about returning the gifts, but decided to keep them for whenever the barbecue would be rescheduled. That night, I called Amy to tell her about the change of plans. That is strange, she said after I explained. They canceled just 2 days before? Did they give you enough notice to get your time off work changed? No, I will still take Friday off, I said. Maybe I will do something nice for myself instead. You should, Amy encouraged. You deserve it after all your hard work. I tried to stay positive. Maybe this was a blessing in disguise. I could have a relaxing weekend to myself, something I rarely allowed myself to have. I could still do a small barbecue on my balcony, invite Amy and a few other friends over. It would be fine. But that night, as I lay in bed, I could not shake the feeling that something was off about the whole situation. Saturday morning arrived, the day the barbecue was supposed to happen. Despite the cancellation, I woke up early, a habit from years of preparation for this event. For a moment, I forgot it was canceled and felt the familiar excitement, only to have reality crash back when I checked my phone and saw no messages from my family. Still, I decided to make the best of it. I had all these supplies, so why not have my own little celebration? I spent the morning decorating my small apartment balcony with the red, white, and blue streamers I had bought. I set up my portable grill, arranged the gourmet sausages and burger patties. I even put on the new sundress I had purchased for the occasion. Around noon, I sent a group text to my family, missing you all today. Hope everyone is having a good weekend. Love you. I attached a selfie of me smiling on my decorated balcony. No one responded immediately, which was unusual. Typically, Mom would at least send a quick reply with a heart emoji. But I figured they must be busy with their own activities. I grilled some food, opened one of the craft beers, and tried to enjoy my solitary barbecue. I put on a playlist of upbeat summer songs to fill the silence of my empty apartment. As I sat there, picking at my food, my phone rang. It was Jessica, my best friend since college. Hey Jess, I answered, trying to sound cheerful. Cassie, how is the big family barbecue going? Are you having fun? She asked enthusiastically. Actually, it was canceled. Dad called a couple days ago and said they are having money problems. What? After you took time off work and everything? Jessica sounded indignant on my behalf. Yeah, but these things happen. I am having my own little barbecue instead. I tried to keep my voice light. You do not sound okay, Cass. What is really going on? Jessica had always been able to see through me. We had been roommates in college, and she knew all about my family dynamics. She had witnessed firsthand how I would drop everything when they called. How I would send money I could barely afford as a college student to help with their so-called emergencies. I do not know, Jess. Something feels off about this cancellation. Dad asked for money for deck repairs even as he was canceling the event that would take place on that deck. That is weird, Jessica agreed. And nobody else from the family reached out to say they were disappointed about the cancellation? No, nothing. It is like they all knew already. Have you checked social media today? Maybe there are some clues there. I had been avoiding social media, not wanting to see other people enjoying their holiday gatherings while I sat alone. But Jessica's suggestion made sense. I will check now, I said, opening Instagram on my phone. Let me see what Hazel has been posting. She usually documents everything. I scrolled through my feed and saw nothing from Hazel, which was unusual for a holiday. Then I noticed the colorful ring around her profile picture, indicating she was currently live streaming. That is weird, I told Jessica. Hazel is doing a live stream right now. She hardly ever does those. Open it, Jessica urged. I tapped on Hazel's profile and joined the live stream. What I saw made my blood run cold. There, on my screen, was my parents' backyard. The deck that supposedly needed repairs was decorated with strings of lights and colorful bunting. Tables were set up with red, white, and blue tablecloths, loaded with food and drinks. My father was at the grill, flipping burgers and laughing. My mother was arranging a platter of fruit. Brian was playing cornhole with some cousins. And Hazel was narrating it all, panning her phone around to show at least 30 people enjoying the annual family barbecue that had supposedly been canceled. Oh my God, I whispered. What? What is it? Jessica asked urgently. The barbecue. It is happening right now. Everyone is there. Everyone except me. I turned up the volume to hear what Hazel was saying. And over here we have Uncle Frank and Aunt Diane who drove all the way from Milwaukee. And Cousin Sophia brought her new boyfriend Tom. Dad just fired up the new grill. And Mom made her famous potato salad. This is literally the best barbecue we have ever had. I watched in shocked silence as Hazel continued her tour. The backyard looked better than ever. There were professional-looking decorations, a sound system playing music, and even what appeared to be a setup for fireworks later. Then I heard something that broke my heart completely. Hazel had turned the camera toward my father and mother. Dad, say hi to all my followers. Hazel called out. My father looked up and waved. Hello, Instagram people. Welcome to the Turner family barbecue. 15 years and going strong. Dad, tell everyone about the surprise you have planned for later. Hazel prompted. Well, we have got some pretty spectacular fireworks this year, he grinned. Spent a pretty penny on them too, but it will be worth it. My mother chimed in, Gerald, do not tell them about the cost. It is supposed to be a surprise how much we splurged. They both laughed. And Hazel turned the camera back to herself. Anyway, everyone is having an amazing time. Oh, wait, Brian wants to say something. My brother appeared on screen, a beer in his hand. Hey, Hazel's followers. Best barbecue ever, am I right? And the best part is we do not have to listen to Cassie brag about her fancy Chicago job all day. Hazel giggled. Brian, do not be mean. But she was laughing too. I am just saying, it is kind of nice not having Miss Perfect here telling us how to arrange the food table or organize the games, Brian continued. True, Hazel agreed. And Dad saved so much money not having to pretend to like whatever weird craft beer she brings. They both laughed again. And the live stream continued with Hazel moving on to show some cousins I had not seen in years. I was frozen in place, my phone clutched in my hand, tears streaming down my face. Jessica was still on the line, calling my name repeatedly. Cassie? Cassie, are you there? What is happening? They lied to me, Jess, I finally managed to say, my voice breaking. They told me the barbecue was canceled because of money, but they're all there. Every single one of them. They just did not want me there. Oh, Cassie. I am so sorry. That is horrible. They are laughing about me. Brian said it is better that I am not there. Hazel agreed. I am coming over, Jessica declared. Do not do anything. Do not call them. Do not text them. Just wait for me. I will be there in 20 minutes. I nodded, though she could not see me. Okay. After hanging up with Jessica, I continued to watch the live stream, unable to tear myself away. I saw distant relatives I had not seen in years. I saw neighbors who had watched me grow up. I even spotted my high school English teacher, Mrs. Patterson, who had always been close with my mother. Everyone was there, laughing, eating, enjoying the perfect summer day in my parents' backyard. Everyone except me. And from what I could gather from snippets of conversation Hazel captured, they had been planning this for weeks. This was no last-minute gathering. This was the annual barbecue, meticulously planned and executed, with the deliberate exclusion of one person, me. As I watched, numb with shock, I saw my father raise a toast. To family, he declared, and everyone cheered. To family. The irony was too painful to bear. Jessica arrived at my apartment in record time, finding me still glued to my phone, watching the live stream that was now showing people playing volleyball in my parents' backyard. She gently took the phone from my hands and turned it off. Enough, she said firmly. You do not need to torture yourself anymore. I looked up at her, my eyes swollen from crying. Why would they do this, Jess? What did I do to deserve being excluded like this? Jessica sat beside me and pulled me into a hug. Nothing. You did nothing wrong. Your family is showing their true colors, and it has nothing to do with you. We sat in silence for a while, Jessica holding me as I processed the betrayal. Then my phone buzzed with an incoming call. It was Brian. I looked at Jessica, unsure whether to answer. Put it on speaker, she suggested. Let us see what he has to say. I answered the call and pressed the speaker button. Hello, Cassie. Brian slurred, obviously drunk. How's my favorite sister? I am your only sister, Brian. I replied coldly. Besides Hazel. Right, he laughed. So, what you doing? Having fun in the big city. Just a quiet day at home, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. How about you? Oh, just hanging out, you know. Had a few beers with some buddies. He was lying right to me. I could literally hear the barbecue in the background, people laughing and music playing. Sounds nice, I said. I thought Dad and Mom were having money troubles. There was a pause, and I could almost hear Brian's alcohol-soaked brain trying to process my question. Oh yeah, they are, he said finally. Totally broke. Dad had to cancel the barbecue and everything. Really? That is strange because I just watched Hazel's live stream of the barbecue happening right now in Mom and Dad's backyard. There was a long silence. Then Brian said, shit. Yeah, shit indeed. Why did you all lie to me, Brian? Brian lowered his voice, presumably moving away from the crowd. Look, it was not my idea, okay? Hazel said we needed to do this. Do what exactly? Exclude me from a family tradition we have had for 15 years? Lie to me? Make me feel like I do not matter. It is complicated, Cass, Brian mumbled. It is about Justin. Justin? Hazel's ex-boyfriend? What does he have to do with anything? Hazel invited him to the barbecue. She is trying to get back together with him. She told everyone you tried to steal him from her when they were dating, and seeing you would make him uncomfortable. My jaw dropped. Justin had been Hazel's boyfriend about 2 years ago. They had dated for only 6 months before breaking up, and I had hardly interacted with him during that time. That is absurd. I barely knew Justin. I met him maybe 3 times total. Well, that is not what Hazel said. She told everyone you were always flirting with him and trying to get his attention. She said you told him he could do better than her. I was speechless. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, the one significant interaction I had had with Justin was deeply uncomfortable. At a family dinner, he had cornered me in the kitchen and made inappropriate comments about my body, putting his hand on my waist until I firmly removed it. I had never told Hazel about this incident, not wanting to hurt her. Instead, I had gently suggested a few weeks later that Justin did not seem like the right match for her. Brian, that is a complete lie. I never flirted with Justin. If anything, he was inappropriate with me. Whatever, Brian slurred. Hazel was really upset about it, and Mom and Dad always take her side, you know that. Anyway, I probably should not have told you about the barbecue. Dad is going to be pissed. So everyone agreed to lie to me because Hazel made up a story about me and her ex-boyfriend? Pretty much. Plus, you know, people get tired of hearing about your perfect life in Chicago. Your perfect job, your perfect apartment. Some of us are struggling, you know. I could not believe what I was hearing. Brian, I help all of you. Constantly. I have sent thousands of dollars home over the years. Yeah, and you never let us forget it, do you? Always the savior. Always the successful one looking down on the rest of us. That is not true, I protested, tears forming again. I have never looked down on any of you. Whatever. Look, I gotta go. Forget I called. And with that, he hung up. I stared at the phone in disbelief. Jessica, who had heard the entire conversation, looked equally shocked. Wow, she said finally. I knew your sister was self-centered. But this is a whole new level. I got up and began pacing my living room, trying to make sense of everything. I need to know if what Brian said is true. About Hazel telling everyone I tried to steal Justin. I started searching through old emails and text messages from around the time Hazel and Justin had broken up. I found a message from Hazel. I cannot believe you told Justin I was too immature for him. He broke up with me and basically quoted you word for word. Thanks a lot, sis. I had never said those exact words to Justin. I had never discussed Hazel with him at all. But I had suggested to Hazel that she might want to consider whether Justin was right for her, especially after witnessing how controlling he seemed to be with her. Next, I found an email from my mother that she had accidentally sent to me instead of my Aunt Linda. It was dated 3 weeks ago. Linda, we are all set for the barbecue on the 6th. Gerald is going to tell Cassie it is cancelled due to money problems. I feel terrible about the deception, but Hazel is insistent. And you know how she gets when she does not get her way. Besides, Cassandra is doing so well in Chicago, she probably will not even miss our little gathering. I showed the email to Jessica, my hands shaking. They have been planning this for weeks, I said, my voice hollow. Mom knew they were going to lie to me. Jessica took the phone and read the email. This is unbelievable. And your mom just casually mentions it like it is no big deal to exclude her own daughter. I continued my digital archaeology, finding more evidence of the planned barbecue. Facebook comments from relatives saying they were looking forward to seeing everyone at the Turners' annual barbecue. An Instagram post from my cousin Kate showing the new dress she had bought specially for the event. A text from my aunt to my mother that had been accidentally included in a group message I was part of, asking if she should bring her famous 7-layer dip like last year. All proof that this was not a spontaneous gathering. This was the annual family barbecue meticulously planned, with the deliberate exclusion of one family member. As the evidence mounted, so did my pain. I had always been there for my family, always the first to send money when needed, to drive 4 hours at a moment's notice when someone needed help, to remember birthdays and anniversaries with thoughtful gifts. And this was how they repaid me. The worst part was realizing this betrayal likely was not a one-time occurrence. How many other events had I been excluded from? How many other lies had they told me? That night, I could not sleep. I tossed and turned, replaying years of interactions with my family, seeing them in a new, harsh light. Jessica stayed over, sleeping on my couch, unwilling to leave me alone in such a state. Her presence was the only thing that kept me from completely falling apart. The next morning, I felt physically ill. My head pounded, my stomach churned, and my eyes burned from crying and lack of sleep. Jessica made me tea and toast, but I could barely eat. What do I do now, Jess? I asked, my voice raspy. How do I ever face them again knowing what they really think of me? Jessica took my hand across the table. You do not do anything right now. You take time to process this to heal. And then, when you are ready, you decide what kind of relationship you want with them moving forward, if any. I nodded, grateful for her wisdom and support. I just cannot believe they would do this. Especially over something so petty, so untrue. Toxic family dynamics are powerful, Jessica said gently. This is not about you, Cassie. This is about their issues, their jealousies, their insecurities. You have done nothing wrong. As the day progressed, I checked social media one more time. Hazel had posted photos from the barbecue, tagging everyone present. There were shots of the food table loaded with dishes, the volleyball game in full swing, and the fireworks display that lit up the night sky. The caption read, "Best family barbecue ever. So blessed to have such an amazing family." Every word, every image was like a knife to my heart. But I knew Jessica was right. I needed time to process, to heal. Before deciding what to do next, I had no idea that decision would be forced upon me sooner than I expected. 3 days after the barbecue, I was still struggling to focus at work. I had told Amy what happened, and she had been supportive, covering for me in meetings when my mind wandered. I was going through the motions, trying to maintain a facade of normalcy while internally reeling from the betrayal. Then, during my lunch break, my phone buzzed with a text message from my father. "Cassie, hope you are doing well. Your mother and I are having some financial difficulties this month. The property taxes came in higher than expected, and we had some unexpected expenses with the house. Could you possibly send $2,800 to help out? I hate to ask, but we are in a tight spot. Love, Dad." He included his bank account information, the same account I had transferred $800 to just days before the barbecue he had claimed was canceled. I stared at the message in disbelief. Not a word about the barbecue. Not a hint of acknowledgement that I had been deliberately excluded from a family event. Just another request for money, as if nothing had happened. I showed the message to Amy when she returned from her lunch. "Are you kidding me?" she exclaimed. "After what they did, he has the nerve to ask you for nearly $3,000? "I know," I said, still staring at the message. "I cannot believe it. You are not going to send it, are you?" Amy asked, concern evident in her voice. "I do not know," I admitted. "I always have before." "Cassie, no. This is not okay. They excluded you from a family event, lied to your face about it, and now want you to bankroll their lifestyle? That is not love. That is exploitation." Deep down, I knew she was right. But years of conditioning, of being the responsible daughter who always helped out, made it hard to simply refuse. "Let me think about it," I told Amy. "I need some time." That evening, I called Jessica to get her perspective as well. "Absolutely not," was her immediate response when I told her about my father's message. "Do not give them a dime. In fact, I think it is time you confronted them about what happened." "I am not ready for that," I said. "I am still trying to process it all." "You do not have to confront them in person," Jessica suggested. "You could write an email, lay it all out. Tell them you know about the barbecue, that you know they lied, and that you are hurt by their actions." "What would that accomplish?" I asked. "It would let them know that you are not blind to their manipulation, that you are not a doormat they can walk all over, that there are consequences to treating you this way." As Jessica and I talked, I began to wonder about other aspects of the barbecue. How much had it cost? Who had paid for it? I decided to do some investigating. I called Dorothy, my parents' next-door neighbor who had always been kind to me. Dorothy was in her 70s and had no filter, which was exactly what I needed right now. "Dorothy, hi, it is Cassandra Turner," I said when she answered. "Cassie, how lovely to hear from you. I missed seeing you at the barbecue the other day. Your family throws such a wonderful party every year." "Yes, about that," I said carefully. "I actually could not make it this year." "How was it?" "Oh, it was quite the affair. Your father really outdid himself with those fireworks. Must have cost a pretty penny. And that band they hired for a few hours was excellent." "Band?" I echoed. "They hired a live band?" "Yes, a local group. Played for about 3 hours in the evening, and the catering was lovely too." Catering. Now I was truly shocked. In all the years of family BBQs, we had always prepared the food ourselves. Oh yes, from that new upscale place in town, Harvest Table. Not all the food. Mind you, your mother still made her potato salad and those deviled eggs everyone loves. But the main courses, those fancy appetizers, and that chocolate fountain, those were all catered. My head was spinning. A band? Catering? Chocolate fountain? Fireworks? This was no simple family barbecue. This sounded like an extravagant party that must have cost thousands. It sounds amazing, I managed to say. How many people were there? Oh, must have been at least 50, maybe more. Your sister Hazel was telling everyone how she organized most of it. Said something about using money her successful sister had sent to help out the family. Made a joke about it, actually. Something like, Cassie finally contributing to the family fun even though she is not here. I thought it was a bit odd, since you have always been so generous. I felt sick to my stomach. They had used my money I had sent to help with supposed financial difficulties, to fund a party I was deliberately excluded from. Dorothy, thank you for telling me this. I appreciate your honesty. Of course, dear. Is everything all right? It is not like you to miss the annual barbecue. I am working through some things, I said vaguely. But I am glad everyone had a good time. After hanging up with Dorothy, I sat down at my computer and began to piece together a financial picture. Over the past 2 years, I had sent my family money on 37 separate occasions for various emergencies and temporary financial difficulties. The total came to just over $32,000. $7,500 for Dad's dental work and medical expenses. $5,000 for Mom's car down payment. $4,800 for Brian's rent when he was between jobs. $3,200 to help Hazel with credit card debt. $2,500 for house repairs. $9,000 in smaller amounts for various bills, groceries, and other expenses. I had records of all of it, transfer confirmations, thank you texts, emails detailing what the money was needed for. And now I knew that at least some of that money had likely been used for purposes other than what I had been told. Then I remembered something else. The previous Christmas, I had loaned my father $15,000 for what he described as refinancing the house to get a better interest rate. He had promised to repay me within 6 months, even signing a simple promissory note I had drawn up. That 6 months had come and gone, and whenever I gently reminded him about it, there was always a reason why they could not repay it yet. I pulled out the promissory note from my files. It was a legally binding document, albeit a simple one. My father had agreed to repay the $15,000 with 3% interest by June 1st. It was now July 9th, and I had not seen a dollar of that money. As I sat there, surrounded by evidence of years of financial support and broken promises, something shifted inside me. The hurt was still there. But now anger began to rise as well. Righteous, clarifying anger. I realized I had been treated not as a beloved daughter, but as a convenient ATM. My generosity had not been met with gratitude, but with entitlement. My success had not been celebrated, but resented. I made a decision then. I would not send the $2,800 my father had requested. I would not send another dollar to my family until they acknowledged their deception and apologized. And I would demand repayment of the $15,000 loan as per the terms of the promissory note they had signed. I called Jessica to tell her my decision. I am proud of you, Cassie, she said when I explained my plan. It is time you stood up for yourself. I am going to email them, I said. I am going to lay it all out, everything I know, everything I have discovered. And I am going to attach the promissory note and request immediate repayment. Do you want me to read the email before you send it? Jessica offered. Yes, please. I want to be clear and firm. Not emotional and accusatory, even though that is how I feel. That is wise. Send it to me when you are done, and I will give you feedback. I spent the next 2 hours drafting the email, revising it multiple times to strike the right tone. I attached evidence of the barbecue from social media, Dorothy's account of the event, and records of all the money I had sent over the years. I concluded with a formal request for repayment of the $15,000 loan within 14 days, as specified in the promissory note. Jessica reviewed it and suggested a few small changes to strengthen my position. She also recommended I consult with a lawyer before sending it, just to ensure I was on solid legal ground regarding the loan. This is not just about the money, I told her. It is about respect, about honesty, about being treated like a member of the family, not a cash dispenser. I know, Jessica said gently, but the money matters too. They took advantage of your generosity, and that is not okay. The next day, I contacted a lawyer, Amanda Peters, who specialized in family law and small claims. I explained the situation and showed her the promissory note. This is a legally binding document, Amanda confirmed after reviewing it. The terms are clear, the signatures are valid, and the repayment date has passed. You have every right to demand repayment and, if necessary, to pursue legal action to recover the funds. I hope it does not come to that, I said. Most family disputes do not end up in court, Amanda assured me. But having legal backing for your claim often motivates prompt repayment. I suggest sending a formal demand letter along with your personal email. I can draft that for you if you would like. I agreed, and Amanda prepared a professional, legally sound demand letter that clearly outlined the terms of the loan, the missed repayment date, and the consequences of non-payment. It was firm but not threatening. Exactly the tone I wanted to convey. Armed with this legal document and my personal email, I was ready to confront my family with the truth. But first, I needed to respond to my father's text message requesting $2,800. After careful consideration, I sent a simple, direct reply, "Not anymore." Within minutes of sending my terse reply to my father's request for money, my phone began ringing. It was him. I declined the call. He immediately called back. I declined again. Then came a flurry of text messages. "Cassie, what do you mean not anymore? We really need your help this month. Call me back, please. Is something wrong?" I did not respond to any of them. Instead, I focused on finalizing my email and the attached legal demand letter with the help of Amanda, my lawyer. Once everything was in order, I took a deep breath and hit send. The email went to my father, mother, brother, and sister simultaneously. I wanted them all to receive the information at the same time to prevent any one of them from controlling the narrative. Within an hour, my phone was blowing up with calls and messages from all of them. I had anticipated this reaction and had already decided I would not engage in individual conversations that could be manipulated or misconstrued. Instead, I sent a brief text to the family group chat. I have sent an email detailing my concerns and expectations. Please read it in full before contacting me again. I am open to discussing this as a family, but not to being manipulated or gaslight. Then I muted the group chat and turned my attention to self-care. Jessica came over with takeout from my favorite Thai restaurant, and we watched comedies on Netflix. A welcome distraction from the family drama. The next morning, I checked my email to find responses from everyone except Brian, who had always avoided confrontation. My father's email was defensive and angry. "I cannot believe you would accuse us of lying and manipulating you. Everything we have ever done has been for the good of this family. Yes, we had the barbecue, but only because your cousin Arthur offered to help with the costs at the last minute. We did not tell you because we knew you were busy with your new promotion and did not want to make you feel bad about missing out. As for the money, we have always intended to pay you back. But times have been tough. Demanding repayment like this, with lawyers involved, is not how family treats family." My mother's email was emotional and pleading. "Cassandra, darling, there has been a terrible misunderstanding. We love you so much and would never intentionally hurt you. Yes, we had the barbecue, but it was a much smaller affair than you seem to think. Dorothy always exaggerates. We only had a few people over, nothing like the big event of previous years. Please call me so we can sort this out. Family should not communicate through lawyers." Hazel's email was the most hostile. "Wow, way to overreact. So we had a barbecue without you, big deal. You were always too busy for us anyway with your fancy job and city life. And now you are threatening legal action over money you offered to give? That is low, even for you. I always knew you thought you were better than us, and this proves it. Good luck maintaining any relationship with the family after this power play. I forwarded all 3 emails to Amanda, who advised me to stick to my guns and not get drawn into emotional arguments. This is exactly what we expected, she said. They're using classic manipulation tactics: DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Stay focused on the facts and the money owed. I composed a brief reply addressing all 3 of them. I have provided evidence that the barbecue was not canceled, but went ahead without me based on a deliberate deception. I have documentation of all the money I have sent over the years, totaling more than $32,000, given in good faith to help with what I was told were genuine financial emergencies. I now have reason to believe I was misled about the purpose of at least some of these funds. The $15,000 loan is a separate matter. It was provided with a signed agreement for repayment by June 1st, which has not occurred. This is not a gift being rescinded, but a loan with clear terms that have not been met. I am open to working out a reasonable repayment plan if the full amount cannot be returned immediately. My lawyer will be happy to discuss terms. This is not about punishing anyone, but about being treated with basic honesty and respect. The responses continued to come in, following predictable patterns. My father oscillated between anger and attempts to make me feel guilty. My mother pleaded for family harmony while minimizing what had happened. Hazel alternated between attacking me and playing the victim. Brian finally weighed in with a brief message asking everyone to calm down and work things out without lawyers. Throughout it all, I maintained my position. I did not yell. I did not make threats. I simply stated facts and stood firm on my request for repayment of the loan. 2 weeks passed with no resolution. The demand letter's deadline came and went without any money being repaid. After consulting with Amanda, I authorized her to take the next legal step, filing a small claims suit for the $15,000 plus interest and fees. The day after the paperwork was filed, I received a call from a number I did not recognize. It was my Uncle Peter, my father's brother, who had always been the more level-headed of the siblings. Cassie, it is Uncle Peter. I heard about what is going on with you and your parents. Can we talk? I agreed to meet him for coffee the following day. Peter had always been kind to me, and I valued his perspective. At the coffee shop, Peter got straight to the point. Your father is furious. But he is also scared. He knows he is in the wrong legally about the loan. He asked me to talk to you, to see if there is a way to resolve this without it going to court. I am open to that, I said. All I want is for them to acknowledge what they did and to repay the money they owe me. Peter nodded. I believe you are owed that much. For what it is worth. I think the way they handled the barbecue was shameful. Hazel has always been jealous of you, and your parents have always enabled her worst behavior. It was validating to hear this from someone in the family. Peter had been at the barbecue, though we had not been close in recent years, so he had not reached out to me about my absence. Can I ask you something, Uncle Peter? How much did that barbecue cost? The one they told me was canceled due to financial difficulties. Peter looked uncomfortable. I cannot say exactly. But I know your father was bragging about the fireworks display costing nearly $2,000 alone, and there was a band for a few hours. It was certainly an expensive event. And did anyone question why I was not there? Several people asked. We were told you had to work and could not make it. I assumed that was the truth until all this came out. I nodded, absorbing this additional confirmation of the deception. So what now? I asked. Your father is prepared to start repaying the loan. He can do $5,000 now, and the rest in installments over the next 6 months. He wants the lawsuit dropped, of course. And what about an acknowledgement of what they did? An apology? Peter sighed. That is trickier. Your father is stubborn, as you know. He does not like admitting when he is wrong. But I think your mother might be willing to have a conversation about it. I considered this. The money was important, but so was the principle of the thing. I wanted my family to understand that they could not treat me this way and expect our relationship to continue unchanged. I will talk to my lawyer about the repayment plan, I said. But I need some kind of acknowledgement from them about the barbecue and the lying. It does not have to be a formal apology. But I cannot just pretend it never happened. Peter agreed to relay my position to my father. 2 days later, I received an email from my mother asking if we could meet for lunch, just the two of us. After consulting with Jessica and Amanda, I agreed. The lunch was tense at first. My mother looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes that makeup could not quite conceal. "Your father is very upset about all this," she began. "I am very upset too, Mom," I replied evenly. She sighed. "I know. And I understand why. We should have been honest with you about the barbecue." It was not quite an apology, but it was an acknowledgement, which was a start. "Why was not I invited, Mom?" "Really?" She fidgeted with her napkin. "It is complicated. Hazel was insistent about inviting Justin, and she told us you two had some sort of conflict." "Did you ever ask me about this supposed conflict?" "No," she admitted. "We took her word for it." And then it just snowballed. "Gerald had already asked you for money for repairs, claiming we could not afford the barbecue. Then when we decided to go ahead with it, we were in too deep with the lie. Do you know how much that hurt me? To find out through a live stream that my entire family was celebrating without me after I had been told it was canceled." Tears filled her eyes. "I can imagine. And I am truly sorry, Cassandra. It was wrong of us. It was the first genuine apology I had received, and it meant something, even if it was just from my mother." "Thank you for saying that," I said. "It helps." We discussed the loan repayment, and she confirmed that my father would send the first $5,000 that week, with a formal agreement for the remainder to be paid in monthly installments. I agreed to have Amanda drop the lawsuit once the agreement was signed and the first payment received. "What about our relationship going forward?" my mother asked tentatively. "That will take time, Mom. Trust has been broken, not just over the barbecue, but over years of being treated as a financial resource rather than a daughter. I need to see real changes before I can fully re-engage with the family." She nodded sadly. "I understand. I hope we can rebuild what we have lost." I hoped so too. But I also knew that things would never be quite the same again. Some betrayals change relationships forever, even when forgiveness is eventually granted. 6 months passed since the confrontation with my family. True to his word, my father had made the initial $5,000 payment, followed by regular monthly installments. The loan would be fully repaid within the next month, which gave me a sense of closure on at least the financial aspect of the betrayal. The emotional healing took longer. I maintained limited contact with my family during this time, occasional text messages with my mother, brief, civil exchanges with my father when necessary for the loan repayments, and almost no communication with Hazel or Brian. Several extended family members reached out to me after hearing different versions of what had happened. Some took my parents' side, accusing me of being greedy and vindictive for demanding repayment of a gift to family. Others, particularly those who had witnessed Hazel's behavior over the years, expressed support and understanding for my position. My mother made the most consistent effort to repair our relationship. She called regularly, sent cards for my birthday and holidays, and even suggested visiting me in Chicago, though I was not ready for that yet. She seemed to genuinely regret her role in what had happened, though she still occasionally slipped into making excuses for my father and siblings. "Your father has always been proud," she said during one phone call. "It is hard for him to admit when he is wrong." "Pride should not come at the expense of honesty, Mom," I replied. "Especially with family." "I know, dear. He is trying in his way." My father's version of trying was never mentioning the barbecue incident directly, but becoming slightly more respectful in his communications with me. He no longer asked for money, which was an improvement, though I suspected that was more due to embarrassment than any real change in his attitude. Hazel remained hostile, posting passive-aggressive comments on social media about toxic family members who think they are better than everyone else. I eventually muted her accounts, deciding that her immaturity was not something I needed to subject myself to. Brian made one awkward attempt at reconciliation, calling me while drunk again and offering a rambling non-apology. "I am sorry you got your feelings hurt, but you know how Hazel can be, and I was just trying to keep the peace." I thanked him for calling, but made it clear that this did not address the real issues between us. While my family relationships remained complicated, other areas of my life flourished. The energy I had previously spent worrying about family emergencies and sending money home was now redirected into my career and personal growth. I received another promotion at work, this time to executive marketing director, with a significant salary increase and more creative control over campaigns. My boss Frank specifically mentioned my improved focus and innovative ideas over the past 6 months as key factors in the promotion. My friendship circle expanded and deepened. Jessica remained my rock, but I also grew closer to Amy from work and joined a book club where I met several like-minded women. One member of the book club, Sophia, introduced me to her brother Thomas, and we began dating. Unlike previous relationships that had often taken a backseat to family crises, I was able to give this new connection the attention and energy it deserved. Thomas was kind, thoughtful, and respectful of boundaries, a quality I had come to value enormously. When I eventually shared the story of the family barbecue and its aftermath with him, his response was validating without being judgmental. "They missed out on having you there," he said simply. Their loss. Perhaps the most significant change was my participation in a support group for adults dealing with difficult family relationships. The group met weekly, and hearing others' stories helped me realize I was not alone in experiencing family betrayal. More importantly, it helped me develop healthier boundaries and expectations for relationships of all kinds. 1 year after the infamous barbecue incident, I decided to reclaim the tradition in my own way. I planned a summer gathering on the rooftop deck of my apartment building, inviting friends, colleagues, and the members of my support group who had become like family to me. Jessica helped me decorate the space with string lights and colorful lanterns. Amy brought her famous guacamole. Thomas manned the grill, expertly flipping burgers and corn on the cob. Sophia brought a spectacular cake decorated with summer flowers. It was a beautiful day, filled with genuine laughter and warmth. As I looked around at the smiling faces of people who truly cared about me, who valued me for who I was rather than what I could give them, I felt a sense of peace I had not experienced in years. The weight of always trying to earn my biological family's approval through financial support and constant accommodation had been lifted. I had learned several profound lessons through this painful experience. First, true love comes with respect. People who love you do not lie to you, exclude you, or take advantage of your generosity. They celebrate your successes rather than resent them, and they treat you as an equal rather than a resource to be exploited. Second, family can be chosen. The people gathered on my rooftop that day were my chosen family. They had demonstrated more loyalty, honesty, and genuine care than those who shared my DNA. Blood relationships are a starting point, not a binding contract to accept mistreatment. Third, healthy boundaries are not just acceptable but necessary, even with family. Saying no to unreasonable demands, requiring respectful treatment, and having consequences for betrayals are not selfish acts, but essential components of self-respect. Fourth, healing begins with acknowledging the truth. For years, I had made excuses for my family's behavior, minimizing the pattern of using me as a financial safety net while giving little in return. Only when I confronted the reality of the situation could I begin to make healthier choices. Finally, forgiveness does not mean allowing people to hurt you again. I was working toward forgiving my family, not for their benefit but for my own peace of mind. But forgiveness did not mean returning to the old dynamic where I was expected to give endlessly while receiving little in return. My relationship with my family continued to evolve. My mother and I had reached a tentative new understanding based on more honest communication. My father and I maintained a cordial but distant relationship. Hazel and I still had minimal contact, though I remained open to reconciliation if she ever chose to acknowledge her role in what happened. Brian and I exchanged occasional text messages, mostly about neutral topics like sports or movies. I did not know what the future held for these relationships. Perhaps time would heal more wounds than I could currently imagine. Perhaps some bridges were permanently altered. What I did know was that I was no longer defining myself primarily as the responsible daughter, the family fixer, the financial savior. As the sun began to set on our rooftop gathering, casting a golden glow over the faces of my chosen family, Thomas raised his glass for a toast. To Cassie, he said, who teaches us all what real strength looks like. Everyone raised their glasses, and I felt tears of gratitude spring to my eyes. These were people who saw me, truly saw me, and valued me for exactly who I was. In that moment, surrounded by authentic love and respect, I realized that the painful exclusion from last year's barbecue had ultimately set me free. Sometimes the worst betrayals lead us to the best revelations about ourselves and what we truly deserve. Have you ever had to create boundaries with family members who took you for granted? What helped you through that difficult process? I would love to hear your stories in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more journeys of healing and self-discovery. And remember, sometimes the family we choose brings more love than the family we are born into. Thank you for listening, and may you find the courage to demand the respect you deserve in all your relationships.